Hello everyone, my name is Shankar Ray. Welcome to another video lecture, that is lecture number 5 of Indian Polity for the Civil Services Examination. Now today in this lecture we are going to discuss the topic, that is the functions and responsibility of the union and the states. So that is particular part 5 and union, and part 6, that is a states. So we'll be discussing functions and the responsibility. Please try to know that there are many aspects of the discussion as well as in detail. However, I am going to limit myself only to discuss regarding the functions as well as the responsibility. Okay, so I shall not be discussing regarding the various aspects of the constitutional mechanisms as well as for example, in the union there is a president, the role of the president, role of the power. So those are I'm not going to discuss. I'll be limiting only to the topic per se, that is functions and responsibility. Now, very quickly, the functions and responsibility, when we say the Constitution of India, that is a supreme law governing of our country, it has clearly laid down certain functions and certain responsibility in our Constitution. Now, the seventh schedule under Article 246 of the Constitution deals with the division of the power between the Union and the states. So please remember this article 246 clearly says what should be the power categorically for the Union and what are the powers for the states. Now we can understand those powers and the states which comes under three types of list, which is Union list, state list and concurrent list. So these are the three lists where the powers has been categorically mentioned. There's a very famous quote, the power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if the powers are not delegated, if the powers are not divided in between the union and the state, then definitely there will be a conflict between the exercise of the power. So our constitution has taken this point and divided those powers which shall be categorically exercised by the union as well as categorically exercised by the states. Now there are certain items, also certain powers which are not prescribed in any of the list like union list or state list or concurrent list. Those are called as residuary powers, and always remember the residual powers lies with the union government only. The state government does not have the power to exercise on the residuary power. Now the union list, originally it had 97 number of items, now it is having 100 number of items. The union list, only the union government or the Parliament of India has exclusive power to legislate on those matters. The state government, they do not have the power to legislate on those matters. So of course we do not have time to discuss upon all the 100 items, so I'll be touching upon certain important items quickly. Now for example, the defense of India, all the armed forces, military as well as our naval forces, those comes under the union. Delimitation, local self government, atomic energy, mineral resources, okay, like CBI. Then we are having war and peace, citizen granting of citizenship, pilgrimages to places outside India, like we are having Hajj and Kedarnath Yatra. Then highways declared by or under the law, shipping and navigation, inland waterways, currency, legal tender, foreign exchange, post office, saving banks, all those comes under the union list. And a couple of other items, like for example regulation of mines and minerals, regulation of labor and safety in the mines, oil field, fishing and fisheries beyond the territorial water. Yeah. Then we are having election to the parliament, legislature of the states, or the office of the president or the vice president, constitution, organization, jurisdiction powers of the Supreme Court of India, constitution and organization including the uh, vacations of the high courts, jurisdiction and the powers of all courts except the Supreme Court of India. So those also comes into the union list. Now state list, I'll just briefly discuss. The originally it had 66 number of items, now it is having 61 number of items. And in order to amend, in order to implement the items prescribed in the state list, only the state government has the power, exclusive power, to legislate into those matters. So of course, as I have earlier also highlighted, that I won't be discussing the entire 61 number of list. I'll be touching upon certain important points. So number one is like, for example, public order, law and order, that comes under the state. Police also comes under the state. Please do not misunderstand with the Delhi. Delhi is a separate entity altogether. So Delhi is not a full-fledged state. Delhi is also is an UT, as well as there are certain kind of constitutional backing up. So we shall discuss about Delhi and Puducherry in a separate topic altogether. So I am considering on only the states, local government, prisons. Then we are having, for example, libraries, museums, and other similar institutions that comes under the state. Agriculture comes under the state. Fishery comes under the state. Trade and commerce within the state subject, that also under the state subject. Election to the legislature of the state, salaries and allowances of member of the legislature of the state, like MLAs and MLC, speaker and deputy speaker of the legislative assembly, that also comes under the states. Taxes on the profession, trades and colleague of employment comes under the state. So I have just briefly discussed about the union list and state list. Now come to the concurrent list. Originally it had 47 number of items, but now we are having 52 number of items. Please note that concurrent list is basically a convergence zone for both the union as well as the state, which means both the union government or the parliament as well as the state government or the state legislature can legislate into those matters. Okay, however, it is always often seen that central law, that means union laws, overrides the state laws. That is one of the limitation to the concurrent list. Now here, like for example, criminal procedure, trust and trustees, marriage and divorce, civil procedures, contempt of court, yeah, prevention of cruelty to the animals, drugs and poisons, those comes under the concurrent list. Economic and social planning, education comes under the concurrent list. Legal and medical and other profession comes under the concurrent list. Price control, newspaper, archaeology sites and stamp duties, that also comes under the concurrent list. So there are certain subjects which were being transferred in the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. The 5 subjects were transferred from the state to the concurrent. Earlier, the education, forest, weights and measures, protection of wildlife, animals and birds, and administration of justice, those were mentioned exclusively for the state. But now, with that 42nd Amendment 1976, it has been transferred to the concurrent list, so that the state and its own machineries also can support together to implement the good system of those 5 items. So that's all about what we have discussed about the responsibility of functions, but not limited. There has to be a better federal mechanism between the center and state, as well as the coordination between the center and state has to be in a good way, so that there shall not be any conflict between the state and the center. It is always expected to respect each other, that is a center and the state, they have to understand each other and cooperative each other. That's sometimes we say that competitive federalism or the cooperative federalism. So with that, I hope that you have understood and learned a couple of points in this particular video, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any kind of query, please contact me. I'm looking forward to see you again. Thank you so much.